Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? I hope all is well. I hope everyone is fine. Those that are gonna watch later, I have something I really want to discuss quickly today. Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing very well. I hope all is well. And quickly, I'm going to go into what I have. My name is Ayo. I am a mom and a child well-being advocate. So basically, I talk about children. I am passionate about children, their growth, their development, and everything related to their well-being. Everything that has to do with children, you will find me there. And tonight, yep, sound check. And tonight, I want to quickly talk about something that really kind of it's something that is something of concern to me as a mom and as somebody that constantly somebody that is passionate about advocating for children, for their well-being, especially people living with disability, basically children living with disability. I help their parents navigate their how to advocate for them, you know in everywhere they find themselves, at school, at church, at other places, social places where these children find themselves. Now, I saw a video that I would like to share, uh, you know, kind of talk about on here because it's about disability in Nigeria. And from my accent and from the way I speak, it is clear that I am from Nigeria. And I saw something really concerning that I thought I could lend my voice in, talking about this thing and finding ways to make sure that everyone is, treated equally, whether you are able-bodied or not. I'm just going to quickly play this video. And once again, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining. If you have found yourself here, I want to say a big thank you. And I would really love for you to watch this video to the end so that you can understand my points and what I'm trying to talk about tonight. You don't know whether you have somebody or not, or you don't know whether your neighbor or somebody around you might need some of this information that I'm trying to put out tonight. Once again, my name is Ayo, and this channel is called Thriving Raising Thriving Kids with Ayo. And basically, like I said, I talk about children. I help advocate for them, for their growth, their development. I help parents figure out their disability, especially young parents who have just received diagnosis of their children. So you want to advocate for your child, in the hospital, at home, at school, and everywhere you think your child will need help. I basically share information that I have because, of course, experience, they say, is the best teacher. So now, like I said, today I'm going to talk about a woman who shared her experience about living with disability in Nigeria. Our video exposed a painful truth, the reality of people that are living with disability in Nigeria. Not because this story is unusual, but because this is the reality of so many people living in Nigeria. And not just only Nigeria, some other countries too are experiencing some of the things that this lady talked about. We're talking about dignity. We're talking about giving people access. We're talking about the way that our country treats people who live with disability. And you won't be surprised that this is really common. Some of the things she mentioned is a very common thing, especially in my dear country, Nigeria. And why is it important for us to talk about this? It is very important so that we can raise awareness that people living with disabilities, they need help, they need assistance, they need people to advocate for them. And like I said, my channel is to advocate, help people, teach people how to properly advocate for themselves. Sometimes we say these things and we don't even do it, you know. We know what to do, but sometimes how to start it, how to take a step to do this thing is one of the things that a lot of people are they're not fully equipped with how to seek help. Most people think disability is, well, it's not my problem, it's your problem. But disability is, you know, is part of human life, whether we like it or not. People that are disabled are everywhere among us. There are physical disabilities, and there are disabilities that are not physical, that you can't see that somebody is disabled. You cannot see physically. Now, this lady that I'm talking about is, her disability is, you know, a visible one, right? Like people can see that, oh yeah, something is going on with this person. And it can happen to anyone at any time. It can happen due to illness. It can be through accidents. Somebody might have complication during childbirth, and the child will become disabled, or even the person that gave birth to the child becomes disabled. Or even with age, people tend to lose muscle strength when they get older, and then they become confined to a wheelchair. No one is exempt. No one. And this is why this conversation is not even optional. It is something that we need to talk about. It is something that we need to talk about. And who is this live video? Who is it for? It's for Nigeria as a country. It's for other countries that are still behind in inclusion, in advocating for disabled people. This is for government officials, hospitals, big organizations, schools, companies, and everyday Nigerians who walk through life without thinking about accessibility. Of course, you're an able-bodied person, you don't need a ramp to walk, but there are some people that have wheelchair that need a ramp so that they can move properly, so that they can push their wheelchair. You can't expect somebody in wheelchair to um, get on the stairs, right? You are in a wheelchair. You don't expect a wheelchair to you push a wheelchair up the stairs. So that is why there should be a place where somebody with wheelchair can ride, can roll, right? So with this in mind, right, let me play this video from my device. Hopefully it's loud enough that everyone can hear. What do you see? I'm going to look at my face. What do you see? I'm going to tell you to hold that thought while we talk about how people living with disabilities are not being considered in Nigeria. A couple of months, if not a few years ago, I went to an MTN outlet to go upgrade my SIM. I'm trying to get my face scanned, but the system will not scan my face. Why? Because of my eye. And the guy kept telling me, open your eye, open your eye, open your eye. We stayed there for like an hour trying to get this thing to work, to actually see that I am a person. You know that most of these network providers and most of these companies feel like, oh, it's very rare before you see someone who actually has an issue come to an outlet to have their face scanned or whatever. So it's not really necessary that we make these provisions for these people. But what happened to being considerate? Because someone told me a couple of weeks ago that I was partially disabled. And honestly, I'm not even going to be mad at it. He said, you're not fully disabled, okay? You are partially. All right. Before we even get to that point, right? She talked about the fact that she needed to get her face scanned, and then she went to an outlet, and the machine could not capture her face. And I'm going to put a picture of that lady on here so that we can see what she looks like. She has partial, like according to what somebody told her, she has partial disability. That means one eye is closed, is not properly opened, and the other one is wide open. So the camera could not capture our face correctly because of her eye is not open. So the person that was trying to take details, that was trying to take that picture, kept saying, open your eyes, in the voice that she used in that video. And you can see clearly that this person is not seeing. I mean, one eye is not properly opened. Now, why I will not blame this person, the operator of this machine, because, you know, the person is probably working with what they are provided to work with. But since somebody that is clearly struggling to open her two eyes, and you kept saying, open your eyes, open your eyes, open your eyes. He saw her face, right? And he knew that one eye could not open, but he still demanded something she physically could not do. The person was still saying, open your eyes, and you can see clearly that this person cannot see properly. I mean, cannot open that eyes all the way, one of the eye. So he just said, oh, open your eyes, open your eyes. The girl was like, okay, how else do you want me to open your eyes? And this is exactly what people living with disabilities experience every day. Not just, oh, there's no provision for them, for no accessibility for them, but there is also the lack of awareness, lack of sensitivities, lack of training, and lack of empathy. Imagine standing there, knowing you cannot comply, and instead of the system to adjust to you, you are made to feel like, girl, you are the problem. Open your eyes, and that is so humiliating. That is so, so unnecessary. And that is a system failure. Yeah. Yep, that's a system failure. And a disability is not just something you try harder to overcome. It's just like telling somebody who has lost the use of their legs to get up and walk. Telling somebody in a wheelchair to get up and walk. It is the system that is supposed to adapt to the person, not the person adapting to the system. And we can go on and on about how the system is supposed to adapt to people and how people are trying to adapt to the system instead. It should be the other way round. And when she said something, she said, there are no provisions, no structures, no adjustments. And people who live with disability are expected to manage. They're expected to um, just do what you're supposed to do. Disability is not something you manage. It's not something you should open your eye for, an eye that you can see clearly that she cannot open it like she should. Disability requires support. That is what we should know. Disability requires support. It requires accommodation. People with disabilities need to have some form of accommodation in order for them to access whatever it is that they're trying to access. A child that is in school that is disabled should be given the accommodations that they need to succeed. And what does this provision, what does this accommodation, what does it look like? What is accommodations? What are you talking about? You kept saying accommodations, accommodations, and accommodation. What is accommodations? Accessible entrances, ramps for people with wheelchair, walking elevators. You get to some places, there won't be elevator for them to even go upstairs. I'm like, okay, how is this person supposed to get to where they're going if there are no elevator to take them there? So these are the things that people are supposed to they're supposed to help people with disability. And who are the people that can do this? Our governments are supposed to provide accessibilities for people living with disabilities. I talked about walking elevators. Disability-friendly hospital procedures. For example, if somebody is deaf or hard of hearing, there should be a sign language interpreter. And now we're supposed to thank God um for COVID. I mean, of course, there are bad sides to COVID, but there are some things that COVID has opened our eyes to. We post-COVID now, we have access to do a lot of things remotely. We can work from home. You can get somebody over Zoom or over Google Meet to interpret for somebody somebody that is deaf or hard of hearing, people who use sign language. We're supposed to allow accessible toilets, bathrooms. Somebody living with disabilities should be able to use the bathroom without struggles. They're supposed to be schools that support disabled children. We can't say because a child is disabled or a child has a disability, that's the end of their life. They cannot go to school. This girl mentioned that her life every day is full of, the video is so long, I can't play everything. She mentioned in the video that her life is full of barriers that should not even exist. She mentioned that things that take minutes for others takes hours for her. She complained that Nigeria was not built with disabled people in mind. Every part of the system screams, you do not belong here. And she mentioned something at the end of the video that disabilities can come on anyone at any time. Somebody can be going on the road, you get hit by a car, and then you can't move any part of your body, you get confined to a wheelchair. Some people lose their ability to talk because of an accident. Some people lose their ability to walk because they got involved in an accident. It's not their fault. Disability came on them at the time that they were not even expecting it. So, what are the things that we're supposed to even think about as a people, as a nation? Think about entering a public building. How will a person on wheelchair enter a public building? How can a person that is using crutches to walk, how will they get on public transports? I know for developed countries, it's totally different. And it's because I'm from Nigeria. That's why I'm talking about Nigeria. That's why I'm using Nigeria as a case study. Do people living with disabilities, do they have a special bus that will load, for example, in the US, there are buses, the public buses. Once there is somebody, there are a lot of older people that can, lift up their legs so high to get on the bus. The bus can be lowered for them to walk in. The bus can be lowered for a wheelchair to roll in. These are the things that we should keep in mind that our government should work towards in Nigeria. And also completing simple government registration like this girl. There has to be provisions for people living with. When the government is putting up, or when organizations, they are writing, developing their handbooks, policies, it should include people living with disabilities. What if a blind person comes in to update their MTN SIMs or Glow or whatever network SIM card? How will the system, what is the provision we have made for the system to capture their faces, even though the system cannot capture their eyeballs? Visiting hospitals that are not disability aware. So people, we should think about visiting all these hospitals, giving them the awareness that they need. If somebody with a disability comes in, are you able to service them? We should also think about schools that refuse to support disabled people. Oh, your child has ADHD or whatever other invisible disabilities. We can't support your child. Oh, your child is deaf. We cannot support them. We should think about these things. Organizations should talk about these things. And when they are setting up, when they are setting up or when they are putting together their organization policies and whatnot, procedures, people with disabilities should be included. And it's not only supposed to be, oh, you can only go to a certain place before you can get things like this done. In every state, every town, every local government must have all these things. Government must make provision, and it starts with creating awareness. I know there are probably all these things in big cities and all that. What about the people living with disabilities in the rural areas? If you listen to the frustration in that lady's voice, you will see that what she was feeling when she was recording that video, when she was passing through what she did pass through, is not only a physical thing. It's not only because she could not get her face scanned. It's because she was emotional. Like, was this country ever built with me in mind? She was going through psychological issues, frustration. Living in a society that constantly reminds you that we don't care about you is very painful. And I'm really, really concerned about the future of the children living with disability in Nigeria and some other countries, because I know there are a lot of countries that are still way behind in providing, making provisions for people, making accommodations for people living with disabilities. And we need to be honest. Nigeria has failed people with disabilities. This is a typical example of somebody saying her mind, saying her experience, talking about what she went through. Why? Because she has a disability. And it's not because there's no money to do all these things. Because when there's a will, there's always a way. But because we don't have the mindset, there is no awareness. We don't have that mindset. We don't have, oh, we must do. Actually, we don't have these people living with disabilities in mind. Because if Nigeria is really concerned or really making provisions for them, before you approve a school building, you have to make sure there are ramps for people with disabilities. There are provisions generally for people living with disabilities. Are there special education teachers that can help these children navigate the school systems? Are there teachers that are really, really concerned about making sure children living with disabilities are educated? And when that lady said disability can come to anyone at any time, she did not lie. And that lie should shake the country. It should shake anyone that listens to our message, because that is the truth. Disability can come on anyone, can come to anyone at any time. One moment, things can be okay, you can be well. The next moment, you are unwell. Things have happened to you. Let's talk solutions. Let's think solution. It's not just about complaining. It's not about only raising awareness. But I know that the more people talk about it, the more government begins to think about it. They begin to take more actions about it. What are the solutions? What are some solution ideas that we can put through, that we can put out? Number one is for disability accessibility laws to be enforced. Our governments have to enforce accessibility laws. Before we can approve any building, it has to be duly scrutinized for accessibilities. And it doesn't have to, it mustn't be only in the big cities. It has to be in the rural areas as well. We have to make public buildings accessible, disability friendly. Government buildings, government hospital, public buildings, schools has to be disability friendly. Hospitals must be upgraded to accommodate disabled patients. Government must make funds available to support programs, genuine ones, and people must be trained. Civil servants, private organizations must train their staff. Teachers must be trained in helping people with disabilities access everything they need to. Private companies must make sure they make their buildings accessible to people living with disabilities. Staff must also be trained. I talk about trainings for teachers, for private organizations, staff members, for hospitals, nurses, everyone must be trained. And we have a role to play as well as average Nigerians, because I've been talking about what governments must do, what organizations must do, what big companies must do, what schools must do. What about everyday Nigerians? Everyday Nigerians. How can you support people living with disabilities? The first thing is to stop staring. And it comes from training our children from when they are young. You train them. Of course, children are generally curious. Once they see somebody maybe walking funny, talking funny, looking funny, whatever, Explain to them by all means that, oh, this person, this and this is what I think happened to them, or maybe and this is what might be what they're going through. Let them know, let them understand, because they need to know, but not staring, like staring and mocking. He look at the way she's walking. Stop saying disability is a curse. As a human being, stop saying disability is a curse. Stop using disabled people as jokes. Stop. People must stop. Using disabled people as jokes must stop. God, I was on the internet one day and I saw a little girl, little girl. I said little because she has dwarfism and she's so short. I think she's 2 years old and she looks like a 6 month old baby, but she's walking. So people were her mom posted a picture on the internet and people started mocking this girl. A lot of people said vile things to this child. And this happened in Nigeria because these people are Nigerians. The commenters, the most terrible comments are from people whose names are Nigerian names. You need to see the vile things they were saying to this little child because she has dwarfism. I don't know her diagnosis, but it looks like she has a chondroplasia. From her looks, I don't know her medical diagnosis. She's really short. Like, how dwarf people look. Little people, call them little people over here. Because there are so many type. There is achondroplasia, whatever. There's so many of them. And people were saying vile things to this little girl. I was just shaking my head. I wish I could do something to those people that were saying. I said, innocent child did not ask to be brought to the world. Her parents brought her to the world, and if you see the way they love on this child, but outside people, Nigerians, they were saying so many. Somebody even said, "Oh, you are taking care of this child. A child that you're supposed to use to sacrifice to." I'm like, what? The what? So teach your children kindness. And you cannot give what you don't have. If you are not kind, you cannot teach anybody to be kind. That's the hard truth. Be kind and teach people kindness. Show kindness. It is very important. Offer help with respect, not like offering help with the look on your face is like you're mocking them or they're stressing you. Offer help and be kind. Be kind. This woman's story and this young child's story is just one, but it represents millions of people living with disabilities. But some people are even scared to come out because they know that, man, I don't even want to try. There's no provision for me. This place was not built with me in mind. Where I live, people still treat people with disability with respect and with kindness, even though some people still have work to do in terms of being kind. But still, people who living with disabilities, they are treated nicely. They are treated with respect. They are treated with the utmost kindness. But in Nigeria, we still have work to do. Nigeria, we have work to do. And what can we do to help? What can we do to help? What we can do to help is to start with being kind. Start with being kind. Do your best and show kindness. It doesn't cost a thing to be kind to people. It does not cost a thing to show people that you care, to show people, to assist, to help people. Help them. If you see somebody struggling to get into a building, hold the door for them. It's not going to cost you anything. Maximum, it takes extra 5 minutes out of your time. By the time we start doing this, and we start raising awareness, our government will step up. We need to keep talking about this. People with disabilities, they need to be seen as humans. They need to be treated with kindness, with utmost respect. If you have seen somebody trolling people with living with disabilities, call them to order respectfully anyway. Not that you carry stone and start fighting or stick and start fighting. No. Treat people with respect. Now, I want to hear from people that will watch this later, or for people that are watching. What have you seen? What have been your experience? Do you agree that Nigeria is not disability friendly? Have you witnessed any situations like this lady's situation? Because her story really touched me. It was a very long, like about 7 or 8 minutes video when she explained into details. I just, played a little bit from what she shared. And one thing that she said that stuck with me is disability can come to anyone at any time. Don't think you are immune. So what you do to people is going to come back to you, whether you become disabled later in life or not. So it is very important to show people kindness. I'm so glad that I'm able to come on here on YouTube to talk about this, because when I heard what happened, I was really, I became so sad, like, God, what is the future of this country? So let's keep doing our best. Let's keep showing kindness. Let's keep talking to others to show kindness as well. Well, thank you all so much for being here. For those that are here, I have about 5 people on here. And for those that will still join or watch later, I want to say thank you to everyone. And I want you to take on tonight, today, depending on your time. I want you to understand that people living with disabilities deserve dignity. They deserve our support. They deserve access. And we need to do better. Because accessibility is a right. Inclusion is a responsibility. And the change begins with awareness. Thank you once again for joining me today. Let's keep pushing until the whole world becomes a place that works for everyone. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.